Hey there, and welcome back to this random Soul Level 1 playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Last time we suffered in Lothric Castle, killing people and doing extreme property damage along the way, and today we're going to be suffering in the Grand Archives this time around. Well, I kinda got lost in the menus, and I spent way too long trying to find out where the Grand Archives were so I could get back there, but I did eventually figure it out, so now it's time to actually get started. So pick up the key over here so you can actually enter, otherwise the door is just blocking you. So inside, the first thing that happens is this crystal sage spawns over there, and after killing the thralls that were to the right to ensure they wouldn't bother me, I came back over here and started slapping him, but you can't actually kill him. He starts teleporting all over the place and you have to run after him, so I did exactly that, but before I started looting and killing a whole bunch of stuff. And I also went over here and dunked my head in wax, which is completely pointless, but it's kind of funny, so that's why I did it. So proceeding on, you'll eventually come across this ladder, which you can kick down to create yourself a shortcut, and a little further ahead is the Crystal Sage's second spot, so I'm going to go ahead and hit him once in order to get him to teleport again, so that he doesn't keep on bothering me, and I was trying to make my way over to his third spot, but I got ambushed by all these enemies, so I tried to kill them, and I started doing just that, but I was getting aroused by the Crystal Sage at the same time, and he ended up killing me from way over there. So I respawned and make my way back to where I was, but this time instead of killing all the enemies, I'm just going to rush through and go straight to where the Crystal Sage is so I can kill him immediately, because he doesn't actually respawn when he dies, so if I can kill him over here, it's going to make things a little more bearable later on. So there you go, he's dead, and now I don't have to worry about him anymore. Past the bridge the Crystal Sage was on is this elevator, which is a shortcut back to the beginning, so that's always nice to have, because Lord knows I wouldn't want to keep trucking through all those enemies every time, so there it is. It's the beginning, but it's actually blocked by a bookcase, so you pull this lever instead and it opens up, so it's right at the beginning before the Crystal Sage. So I eventually came across this room hidden behind an invisible wall where, or not an invisible wall, but an illusory wall. Anyway, behind it is this guy, and well, in case you weren't aware, these guys suck, especially in SL1, where they can just murder the hell out of you like this. After respawning, I tried to move on in the stage, and I eventually got cursed by these books and everything, so that was kind of fun. And after nearly committing a grave mistake, I eventually managed to actually move on with the stage, and I reached the outside parts of it. So at this point I'm basically just looking for the undead bone shards so I can upgrade my Estus later on, and it took me all over the place, including this place where there was a whole bunch of crows, and also back here with the Outrider Knight, so I ran just straight past him and I picked up the Soul Stream instead. So yeah, that was not the undead bone shard I was looking for, so I eventually got back here and then he slapped me and cornered me, and I tried to run away, but he just caught up to me and murdered me again. So at this point I'm getting a little sick of dying all the time, so I decide I'm just going to move on and hope to God that I find the undead bone shard on the way. So right over here is this soul, so that's always cool. And I also came over here and jumped down on this platform because I thought the gargoyle would be able to follow me, but as it turns out it can actually follow you, so instead I just screamed and went back inside in order to protect myself. I didn't actually scream, for the record, but whatever. Anyway, these thralls dropped down from the wall, so I just ran straight past them, hoping that they wouldn't follow me, and eventually I came all the way over here, and here is the undead bone shard actually, so in the end I did manage to find it, so thank God for that. And there's also this ladder over here, which you can kick down to make a shortcut, and it turns out I kicked it with the perfect timing in order to use the iframes to dodge that bullet, so that was kind of funny. Back outside is this spot, which is a fight with a trio of NPCs, but well, it's a pain in the ass, and I didn't want to bother with all of it, so I just ran straight ahead and hoped to God they wouldn't be able to hit me, and it turns out it actually worked like a charm. So come over here and take this elevator, which leads you right back to the first bonfire of the area, and I accidentally sent the elevator back up, so now I'm stuck waiting for it to get all the way back up so I can pull the lever in order to get it to come back down. So after doing that, I'm going to take this opportunity to set up the bonfire to replenish my Estus while I'm here. So using the elevator to get back up, it's time to head on to the final stretch of the stage, but before I do that I'm taking a little detour to this optional area because there's a couple of things I want to pick up. So after going around in circles for a while, I eventually came across the staircase, and heading up the stairs and coming over here is an important item, which you'll soon see what it is. In fact, it is the final Estus shard of the game. So that's pretty cool. And there's actually one more important item to get in this area, so fail at the jump over here, but succeed on the second try, and eventually you can find this spiral staircase and head up, where there's this ladder that you can climb, and at the top of it is the final piece of the puzzle for this run, pretty much. So right over here is the Hunter's Ring, which gives you +5 dex, allowing you to finally wield the Dragon Slayer's axe. So with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and swap out my rings now. So I'm going to swap out the Lord's Sword ring for the Knight's ring for the +5 strength, and also the Chloranthy ring for the Hunter's ring for the +5 dexterity. And with all of that, I can finally start using the Dragon Slayer's axe, once I go ahead and equip it, that is, right over here. So there you go, now I have a new weapon to mess around with, but I have to two-hand it because otherwise I don't have enough strength. So with all of that done, I'm going to head back to the shrine to do some stuff. So back at Firelink, I'm going to go see Andre in order to use the Estus shard to reinforce my Estus all the way to 15 uses, and I'm also going to use the final undead bone shard in order to bring my Estus class to its maximum potential. And now I'm going to head back to the Grand Archives to keep going. So while I was waiting on the elevator to come back down, I realized that I hadn't given my Dragon Slayer's axe a raw infusion, which means that I'm losing out on some damage, so it's back to Firelink Shrine for me. So there you go, raw Dragon Slayer's axe, and it's around 40 more damage, so that's kind of good. And now it's time for the final stretch, so I'm just going to run past all these hollows because I didn't feel like getting ganked into oblivion, so I'm just going to pretend they don't exist while they're screaming in my back. And now there's these 4 Lothric Knights over here. 2 of them are going to buff, and the other 2 are going to come after me. But before you head on to the second to last boss fight of the game, there's this elevator, which acts as a shortcut, so make sure you take that. And it leads you back here, in Lothric Castle, right before the Dragon Slayer's armor. So there you go, here's your proof. There's the Dragon Slayer armor on the right, but, well, I didn't show it for very long, so whatever. And now, taking the elevator back up, there's this Lothric Knight who's just standing in the way, guarding the door for when I inevitably came back, so that's exactly what I do. I just rolled past and I opened the door, and I went ahead and looked back to see if he was coming after me, but he just decided to stay over there, so I was free to buff before entering the arena, so that made things awfully convenient, so I should remember to thank him or something. And now it's time to head into the fight against the Twin Princes, so I'm going to prepare myself with some gold pine resin for extra lightning damage and also some grass for extra stamina regen, and I'm going to head straight in and get hit by his first attack because, well, apparently I'm bad, so as you can see I wasn't doing a very good job, and I also went ahead and died a couple of times, of course, as I usually do. So, successful attempt number 4, and I'm going to start by buffing myself with the same buffs that I did all the other times. And now I'm just going to head into it, so he's going to teleport straight into me, and I'm going to time my roll really badly, but it didn't matter too much. So as you can see, damage isn't too bad actually, so that's always good to know. And you also generally want to try to avoid this attack because, as you can see, it hurts quite a lot. And if I hadn't been at full HP for the Lord's Shield Ring, I probably would have gotten one shot. So that's always fun. As for the fight itself, just try to go for one hit at a time at most, because if you go for a second one, that's more than enough time for Lorien to slap you in the face with his giant flaming sword. So just try to pay attention to his tails, because most of his attacks are rather well telegraphed, and you just dodge whenever you see them coming, and you go for one hit, because no more than that. So all in all, first phase is pretty easy. It's rather straightforward once you get the hang of it, but phase 2 is where things get juicy, because now you have Lorien teleporting all over the place, and you also have Lothric's magic spam to deal with, so you kind of have to juggle both in order to ensure that you don't die, and you also have to be careful when you heal so that you don't just take a magic bullet to the face immediately after. You also want to try to go behind Lorien as much as possible during second phase, because it's actually Lothric you need to kill, but if you just hit him in the face, then you're not getting any damage on Lothric. But if you're in his back, you might actually be able to get some damage in on him, and as you can see there, I took a hit because I went for 2 attacks in a row instead of just 1. So usually when Lothric shoots out this volley of magic, you just want to run to avoid it, and you also want to be on the lookout for wherever Lorien teleports so that you don't get smacked in the face and end up getting comboed to death immediately. If he teleports away, just assume he's going to use the big shockwave attack and try to stay far away, because if you stay close you have to dodge the sword and the shockwave, and that's a lot harder to do actually. So he teleports away again, but he doesn't do the shockwave, instead he just shoots out a bunch of magic spam before teleporting on over to you. As you can see, I've almost killed Lorien again, and once I do so I have a good opportunity to get some damage on Lothric, so that's what I do, but I decided to play it a little conservative because I didn't want to get blasted in the face, so I probably could have gotten a few more hits in, but I go ahead and get some here instead, and I got a bit greedy and I got smacked in the face, but everything turned out fine, so now it's just a matter of trying to dodge everything in order to avoid dying, and trying to get a good opportunities to hit Lorien in the back in order to kill Lothric. So after dodging this and dodging the follow-up slash attack, which is the giant shockwave apparently, I'm going to head back in order to try and find my opening. So he's going to teleport and I'm going to dodge his 2 follow-up slash, but I'm going to dodge one and the other one is just going to miss, and 2 hits later, one of which I have no idea how I actually managed to hit Lothric, but well, he only had 2 hits left in him, so after that he's going to die, and that's going to be the end of the fight for me. So I'm going to have a victory drink by chugging all of my Estus before heading back out in order to keep on going. Honestly, I thought that took a lot more attempts, but it was just that the fights were really freaking long, so it actually took quite a while for me to kill them, even if it was only 4 attempts. So back at Firelink, I'm going to prepare myself to go fight the final boss, and I'm going to go ahead and head for the throne so that I can put the Lords of Cinders back on them, and it's going to take a little bit, but after all is said and done, I'm going to be able to go ahead and challenge the final boss. So here's the final Cinder of a Lord, and with all 4 of them placed, it's time to go ahead and finish this up. So I'm going to jump down and I'm going to have a quick talk with the Firekeeper first and foremost. It doesn't matter, but I just felt like I should, so assume he can't do anything about it anyway. Now it's time to head on to the bonfire in order to finally set out at the end of this journey. So here we are at the kiln of the first flame, and start off by lighting the bonfire so that you can teleport back if you ever need to leave or something. And after getting lost in the shrine for a little bit, I'm finally going to manage to find my way back out and use the bonfire to travel to the final boss. So here we are. It's now time to light the final bonfire of the main game and head up all the way to the Soul of Cinder in order to finally put an end to this. And so here we are at the final challenge, and I begin by preparing myself for the decisive battle that lies before me, before straight up rushing into the fight head first in order to fulfill my destiny. But before that, it is time to die. Twice, in fact. Okay, that's enough theatrics for now, so after 2 failed attempts, it's time for the actual successful one, so attempt number 3, and 3rd time's the charm, as they say. So I went ahead and used some grass in order to buff my stamina regen, and of course some gold fine resin for extra lightning damage, because Soul of Cinder is actually weak to lightning, so those are my buffs of choice for this battle. Maybe there's a better option for damage or something, but well, it didn't matter. It didn't take me enough attempts for me to start experimenting and stuff. So first phase is a little weird because when he starts out he has this moveset that's mostly fine, except some attacks are kind of weird and they have super long animations that make it a pain to figure out when you're supposed to roll, but otherwise it's kind of like Lothric and Lorien, where you just dodge and you go for 1 hit at a time. But eventually he switches weapon types like this, and now he has a curved sword and he's a lot faster, and most of his attacks are multi-hits, so things become a lot harder from here. So since he becomes a lot faster when he's using the curved sword, I decide I'm going to just play a lot more carefully in order to avoid getting hit too often, otherwise I'm just going to die. But I do still try to get some hits in every once in a while, but as you can see, it almost always results in near death, so it's not exactly super fun. And he also switches to a lance sometimes, and this phase is a little bit better. It does have a lot of range, but it's a lot slower, so it's generally easier to dodge, even if it can be kind of problematic at times. But because of the fact that it's a spear, you can kind of sidestep a lot of his attacks by simply walking right or left, so that generally helps. So yeah, just keep on dodging and going for one hit at a time in order to make sure that you don't end up getting smacked for going for more than one hit. And when he crouches down like this, that means second phase is about to start, so I back up to avoid the huge explosion right there, and I put my buffs back on in order to make things easier for the beginning of second phase, for as long as they last. Second phase is a lot more like the beginning of phase 1, but it does have some new attacks like this 5-hit wombo combo that will absolutely one-shot you if you get hit by it, so didn't really try to avoid that. He also has this grab attack, and he decided to do it like 3 times in a row here for some reason, and I totally choked the 3rd time and I let him grab me because I'm bad at the game. So after a while he manages to do so and starts jumping all over the place in order to hit me, and he also starts casting miracles and throwing lightning spears at you, so that's always fun sometimes. Sometimes he's going to backstep, and when he does so, he's going to charge his lightning spear and throw it in the sky, and if you were smart, you would have used this opportunity to get some hits in, but I didn't, because I was scared that he would hit me with it or something. But eventually they're going to rain down from the sky, but you can just dodge them by running around, and since he was doing the wombo combo again, I went back and applied my buff, and I went straight back in, and he tried to kick me there, so that's not very nice of him, but he's going to throw a lightning spear at the ground, so that's not a very effective strategy, and I'm going to use the time to heal before going back in order to keep with the rolls and the single hits, and eventually he goes down, so he doesn't have a whole lot of HP apparently, and I also use this opportunity to just sleep in his face. So there you go, that's Soul of Cinder dead, and the game, or the main game at least, is over. So after resting for a little bit longer, because I'm guessing my character was tired, or that's what I felt like it anyway, I'm going to get up from there and go towards the first bonfire, but, well, the first flame I mean. Except I wanted to summon the Firekeeper, but she wasn't there. And after spending way too long looking for her, I eventually caved in and looked at a guide online, and I realized that I screwed myself out of the ending before. So I went ahead and talked to her, but it didn't do any difference because, as I said, I screwed myself up, so oh well. So I guess I'll just have to settle for the boring, normal ending, like I always do. Well, I guess that's my fault for being stupid. So yeah, that's the end of the main game, but don't worry, because I will absolutely be tackling the DLC after this, so I don't know how many parts that's going to be, but I know for sure it's going to be incredibly painful, so I hope you'll join me for that whenever it happens to come out. Also, yeah, I skipped the ending because, of course I did. So I'm not going to begin New Game Plus right now, and I'm just going to head back to Firelink for the outro, I guess. So that's going to be the end of the video for today, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, well, that's cool. If not, well, sorry, I tried my best. And as always, I'm going to go to sleep at the end of the video, and the Firekeeper is going to giggle again. Anyway, bye.